today I have with me Tom Dennison. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you very much. My name's Tom Dennison. I'm Vice President of Government and Public Affairs at SMECO, and it's an honor for me to be a part of the inaugural SMECO Connects podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm the president and CEO here at SMECO, and I started in that role on March 1st of 2020. And you may remember what happened maybe 12 days after that. We rolled right into the pandemic. So I had a rough first few months of my position here at SMECO. Um, but we managed to get through it thanks to
We did.
people like you.
Mhm.
And before I was CEO, I was the chief financial officer here for since 2006. And before that, I started as a financial reporting supervisor, spent some time in power supply, spent some time in IT.
Mhm.
I remember I was in IT on September 11th. I remember what I was doing on that day. So, and remember where I was working. Um, Before that, I lived in South Carolina, and I moved to Maryland in 1990. Finished my college degree up at night at the University of Maryland. It was University College then. Now I think they call it Global Campus. But I got my bachelor's degree in accounting, and I went on and got my CPA. And then when I started work at SMECO, I went back to school and I got my MBA. So I did all that at night. I had three kids while all that was going on and worked full time. So that's like kind of my story.
No, I. That's a great story, and I know I had nothing similar to that, but I started at SMECO in November of 2006. Prior to that, I was a newspaper man. I moved from Western Pennsylvania to Southern Maryland in, I think, 2 days after I graduated from journalism school. And I was a reporter from 2000 until the election of 2006. And I was very fortunate at the time. I loved reporting. I loved being a journalist. It was the best job I ever had. However, life gets in the way sometimes, and my wife was pregnant at the time in the fall of 2006, and I was very fortunate to get an offer to come work at SMECO as a public affairs person. And I took that job in November of '06, and I've been here ever since. And I've now gone up to be the vice president of government and public affairs, which has been an absolute thrill for me. It's mostly because of working with two phenomenal CEOs, Sonia's predecessor, Joe Slater, and then Sonia since she started in 2020. And it's been a really great journey for me. And it's a challenge every single day. We do a lot of great things here at SMECO, and we're such an important part of the community. And I'm happy to be a part of it.
So today we want to talk a little bit about, now that we got all the intro and background out of the way, we want to talk a little bit about what it means to be a cooperative
Sure.
and why we're different from the investor-owned utilities. So if you had to pick like one main thing, what would you say?
I mean, the thing that I talk about all the time is how everything revolves around our membership. We have owners who are our members, and our members are our owners. And what does that mean? That means that 180 some thousand folks who we provide electricity here to in Southern Maryland, they are they're our owners. They are the ones that we ultimately have to report to. And I think part of my job is I have to explain what a cooperative is to folks in Annapolis and to our county commissioners and things. And what I tell them is very simple. We're a not-for-profit, and our motives are 100% pure. It's about providing reliable, affordable electricity, and that's what our hallmark has been for over 80 years now. I think we were founded in 1937 as part of FDR's New Deal, and what we've done over these years is, uh, you know, we try to explain to people the cooperative difference, why cooperatives are different from investor-owned utilities, that are, there's nothing wrong with an investor-owned utility. It's just a different business model. Our cooperative model is based on serving our members and, being an integral part of the community. And I think investor-owned utilities have shareholders who they're ultimately responsible to. And it's just two different businesses, and I'm very proud to be a part of the co-op.
Yeah, so am I. Thank you. Um, I think one thing that we do that I really enjoy is the concern that we do have for our community. So many of our employees volunteer in the community, and they do all kinds of different things. Volunteer on different boards. Do trash pickup. All kinds of different things, and they love being involved. We do several things too, like the math counts that we just did. We sponsor that, and we have a lot of employees who volunteer and help with that. And then the big one that we do, we have the SMECO Foundation where we do the big golf tournament, which you happen to chair,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
do quite a job at it. And it's been very successful for the last 3 years. I think you took it over 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's been 3 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think SMECO and the community go together, hand in glove, because so many of our employees integral are integral parts of the community. What I mean by that is, whether it's at their churches, at the Little League fields, at grocery stores, or any type of nonprofit organizations, whether it's a hospital foundation or March of Dimes or United Way. I mean, we have representatives who care deeply about those organizations because they care deeply about our community. And I think in order for me as an employee, I like to be able to have something I can grab onto outside of work. And I'm very fortunate to I have two daughters who are involved in sports, and SMECO provides me a level of flexibility that I can be involved in those sports. And I think from an employee standpoint, that's a value add where you go to work every day to have that flexibility so that you can participate in organizations outside of these four walls here in Hughesville. So I feel like the golf tournament, for instance, is a great way for our vendors. We have a lot of vendors at SMECO who who share our same vision for the community, and they like to sponsor the golf tournament because they know the money that we raise goes to supporting our corporate charities every year. And we rotate those charities. We try to have charities that benefit all of Southern Maryland, our entire service territory, whether it's the hospitals or environmentally sound organizations, and and the money that we provide, I always say, moves the needle.
Mm-hmm.
This is not, your annual $500 check to an organization. I mean, we cleared upwards of $60,000 last year through one golf tournament that we provided $20,000 to each of the foundations for our local hospitals.
Right.
And, we have relationships with those foundations, and we told them we want this money to go towards helping families dealing with cancer.
Right.
No one among us has been untouched by cancer. And I told them, I said, we trust you to spend the money as best you can. And whether that means providing a family, some gas money to come and visit their relative, their mother, father, grandfather, whoever, or, helping to fund various other research projects or anything. We gave that flexibility to them, and they were very appreciative. So it's a really big deal for us.
And I think one thing for me, as far as what I do, is outside of the company, is I'm on the board of trustees for the College of Southern Maryland. And right now I'm vice chair for that, and will be chair next year if I get reappointed by the governor. And I find that to be very rewarding for me because as I explained when we first started, I got my education at night because somebody was willing to be there at night to teach me. So I've been involved with the College of Southern Maryland for a long time. I was an adjunct professor years ago
Hmm.
while I was working here. So I just I love the mission of the college, and I love to support the college and the students there, and that's one way I feel like I can give back as well to the community. So there's and a lot of our employees are doing that. You're on the hospital board.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think not to cut you off, but the college benefits from your ability, from your time spent on their board. You provide a business sense that they may not have. The What I've always told my fellow employees when they get on these boards or they volunteer or they're a coach or whatever, those individuals you're involved with benefit from you working here at SMECO. They It is every single day, whether when you're out in the community and somebody knows you work for SMECO, they ask questions, and it's we all become, whether you're the vice president of public affairs or whether you're the CEO or whether you're a lineman working. People ask questions about SMECO, whether how to pay their bill, why are our rates like they are, what are you all up to, who are you hiring, you have any open positions, those types of things. So you got to have a lot of pride to work here, and because you're out in the community and you want to be able to answer questions for folks,
right.
and your role on the college is such a big deal because that college experience, those students are a pipeline to SMECO. Some of them may become a lineman, some of them may come work in our accounting division, some of them may become bill collectors. Those types of jobs
Right.
that, having you on the board, you can help shape that
Yes.
policy.
Yes. One of the other things that it means to be a part of a cooperative is like when you were talking about earlier, like investor-owned utilities have shareholders, so they need to make a return for their shareholders. So we don't have that we don't have that motive. We have no shareholders, so we do have capital credits, which is the money that the members put into the cooperative when they pay their bill. If we have margins left at the end of the year, then those margins get allocated back out to all the members based upon their usage. So instead of providing like a return to shareholders, we're providing a return of the capital that has been invested by our members, and the members elect a board to represent their interests. We have a 15-member board here. Those are elected by our members in the that take service from us. I think we had about since we moved to voting online and by mail. I think we have a whole lot more participation in the voting process too.
Yeah, and that's what makes, another fundamental cooperative difference is that we're democratically governed.
Right.
So we have 5 directors from Charles, 5 from St. Mary's, 3 from Calvert, and 2 from Prince George's, and the directors run on a staggered term,
Mm-hmm.
and they stand for election just like any of the other elected officials do. However, it's just voting from members of the cooperative. So we have an annual meeting every year where we announce the totals. But one of the changes that you mentioned is we've gone to try to make it a little easier for people to vote. Prior to, I guess, probably within the last 8, 10 years, or I'm not sure how many years it was, you had to actually go to the annual meeting to vote. And we're busy. I know I've got any number of things to do in the evening, and a lot of people don't have time to go to an annual meeting. So we allowed people to vote online. We allow people to vote via the mail, and we try our best to alert people, hey, the ballots are coming out. And uh, and our directors are part of the community. They're part of the business community, the farming community, all aspects. Many of them have been on our board for some time, and they care deeply about this place. So uh, So yeah, it is definitely part of the co-op difference.
One of the other things that I like is one of the cooperative principles is cooperation among cooperatives.
Mm.
And you see that all the time. Like there's over 900 cooperatives in the country, and one of the main things that we do is when there's a storm or something that affects a co-op, maybe even in another state, we'll send some of our people to help them restore power to their co-ops. We had that just recently. One of the co-ops in Virginia,
Hmm.
Southside Co-op, they
Hmm.
lost half their system from the winter storm. So we sent some people there to help them to restore power. But I think the one thing that I was proud of last year was um, we sent a few people down to Guatemala
Hmm.
to help a village of 600 people who had no power to bring power to them. And what I found heartening about it was um, all they wanted was one light and one electric plug. That's all they wanted.
Hmm.
And they were so happy when it got done, and they took such good care of the volunteers that went down there to help them. And I think that our guys that went got a lot out of it too. They were talking about one of the things they were talking about were the kids.
Yeah.
Like the kids didn't have toys, so they would play with whatever, plastic bottles, whatever they would play with, but they were happy. And it warmed my heart to hear those stories.
I tell you, it really does, and that's part of, the NRECA, I believe, is our national trade group representing all of our cooperatives, and and another thing that I've always valued about the co-op has been when we've had severe power outages. And I talked to a lot of our linemen who are out there working in terrible weather and trying to restore power as quickly, as safely as possible. And when the other co-op crews come to SMECO, and whether they be from Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, wherever, they've come here, and the they all speak the same language, and their values are very similar. And I think we see that whenever our guys go to help other co-ops restore power. They, we work with the same kind of infrastructure. Um, a lot of the men and women are, come from similar backgrounds and things,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a really strong connection just because of that. That they both work at a co-op, and so I've always appreciated that
Yeah.
as part of being a part of this family.
And they do have their own language.
Oh, they do.
I
And they're
remember the first time I heard one of them say headache, and I'm like,
headache, yeah,
that
yep,
just means they're dropping something out of the bucket.
exactly. And they all have nicknames, of course.
Yes, some of them I don't know their real names, just know their
I don't.
nicknames, but
I wonder if they have nicknames for us.
probably. But I don't know if we want
I
to
don't
know
know
what
if
they
I want to
are.
know what mine is.
So you're kind of my eyes and ears in the field with the guys too, and I enjoy getting out there and just watching them work because they really love to tell you what they do, and I love to hear them tell me what they do.
There's a lot of pride in it.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, and I I love what listening to some of the guys when they talk about, a family's been out with especially in the summertime when you've been out of power for a day, for instance, and the SMECO truck rolls up, and I love a couple of people that they'll go out and get a picture with the lineman standing next to the truck or whatever, and they send it. And I mean, that's what it's all about,
right.
and those guys may have been working for 12, 14 hours at the time, but they had to get, one more tap line up, or another transformer had to get replaced, and they do it because they know how important it is.
Yeah, they do, and they enjoy their jobs a lot. I guess one thing that I wanted to mention was I do look at our social media,
Mm.
and I try not to take things personally, but you see a lot of things on social media, and when we were talking earlier about the golf tournament, and we did the press releases on where the money went. A couple of negative comments out there. That's why our bills went up, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I just want, for if those who are watching the podcast here, I just want you to know that that SMECO Foundation is all volunteers by employees. The money that we collect, it comes from our vendors or the entry fees or the generosity of the vendors donating things. So none of that money comes from our members. That's all volunteer. But that's just one example. And I think a lot of times we don't do a really good job of explaining sometimes why the rates are going up. So I think I would like for us to get better at doing that, and so our members have a better understanding of why that happens. And
No, I think it's a great point, and I think something like this podcast will be a good tool for that. And I know right now it's about the midway point of the 90-day General Assembly session, and I can tell you that we have seen a lot of complaints from legislators in other service territories. Like particularly, there's been hearings in Baltimore City about high electric bills. There's been complaints in various other parts of the state about high electric bills. So it's incumbent upon the utility to at least go out, make yourself available, and yeah, I mean, explain what's going on and why. And one of the biggest things I tell people is that there's a lot of tools that you have right at your fingertips. At SMECO, you have this thing called an account manager, and I love it. You log onto your account and you can go to the day of where you are using most of your electricity. You can pinpoint how much you're using based on the temperature outside, and it is a really uh, illustrative way of looking at things. You can see the temperature below 30 degrees and you can see your electricity usage going up. And for me, that's helpful. I think I had said I have two daughters, and the two constants in my house are laundry and showers. And the amount of electricity that gets gobbled up in those periods of time is astounding. And temperature is really what drives it. And I think part of our challenge is to remind folks about those types of tools, and then also to encourage them to call us
right.
and to help. We're here to help. We can do audits. We can do budget billing. We can do payment plans. We're here to try to help you. The last thing we ever want to do is disconnect anyone for non-payment. So we're here to help our customer members as best we possibly can.
Yes, I agree. I can't think of anything else really that we haven't brought up about the difference between a co-op and a investor-owned utility.
No, I think we touched on everything, and I think it's just a real pleasure to be on a podcast like this because to the extent people can tune in and listen and learn, and know the know that the CEO of SMECO is approachable and out there, willing to talk on a podcast is a really good benefit, I think, for folks.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I think this is going to be a good way for us to get some messages out that we haven't been able to do before, and we hope we'll end up with a really good following. And we hope you enjoyed our first SMECO Connects podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.